Hi there. Hello, everyone. This is the first live thing I've done on YouTube, so I'm probably going to not exactly know how it goes. So I guess we'll just wait a little bit. And if anyone has any questions, either about the course or van conversions, anything like that, then just hit it up in the comment box and we'll try and answer that. But in the meantime, I would just kind of give you an idea of what we're doing at the moment, what we've built, what we've made, and we can go through a little bit about the course and why we're running it, why we've made it, and hopefully that will give you a little bit more information and it will fill some time before people add any questions if you have any. So the course, we started the course mostly because before, in the first place, we were selling an ebook. The ebook's good, and we added in some videos to help people understand exactly how to build a van or make it a little bit easier to understand the practical part. And that really went down well. People really seemed to like it. So from there, we thought, well, how do we take this further? How do we make it so that building a van is not only something that anyone can do, but also something that is like relatively easy to do. The process is kind of like bomb-proof. You can go from A to B and with the least stress, least waste of money, and the most efficient on your time. So that's pretty much what started us off with the course. And last summer, we started building a new van. We've put a few pictures out on it on the community page, but we're going to have like a full video build series coming out soon. And with that new van, we've just filmed every single bit of the process. And that process was really arduous. We just worked 15-hour days for far too long. And in the end, we had over 100 hours of footage. And that 100-hour footage of like every single little bit, as well as like sit-down chats where we explain all of the kind of electronic theory or the stuff about the gas and how systems interact and the different types of insulation. Once we went through all that, then we ended up with this huge amount of footage, and we've been editing that down into these detailed tutorials. And at the moment, the count is 170. So we have 170 tutorials on the course. And with those tutorials, you better go through them. But then the other sticky part of running a course or doing a van, the thing that people are most worried about is the electrics. Designing a system that works, is safe, and it's kind of, there's a lot to it. So we decided to team up with Tom at Tiny Build Electrics, and within the course, then we'll give people like a full one-on-one consultation. First, we take them through a process of trying to understand what they actually want for their van, and once they've gone through that process, then they'll have a one-on-one consultation with Tom and their team, and we'll end up with a specification which will work for your needs and will represent really good value for money. I'll just answer Dorothy Luna's question. She said, is this the only time you will open the course, or will it be available again later, for example, in a few months? Yeah, so Dorothy, we will offer the course again. The idea at the moment is just to get a good intake, run it, tease out any issues. The platform's pretty reliable, so we don't think there'll be many issues, but we just want to kind of get it up and running. And then at some point in the future, we'll open it up to more people. In the future, though, we probably won't be able to offer the 25% discount because just the operating costs, because it's like an information product combined with quite a lot of service. We need to basically be mindful of making some money out of it at the end of the day as well. So we'll probably not run such a promotion again. So if you're interested or you're pretty keen on doing the course, I would suggest you pick up the course now and then just let us know when you want to start. We're not going to be like difficult about it. We're not like bureaucrats. If you want to start the course later, that's not a problem at all. Catherine asks, how much is the course and book? So the price of the course at the moment with the discount is $520, and that includes a consultation, which is worth $120, which will end up with your specification, all access to the detailed tutorials and the schematics, and also access to the community, the course community, where you'll be able to access like support, inspiration. You'll be able to have contact with the other people on the course, but also if you have particular problems or problems go unanswered within a day or something, we'll also be on the forum and try and answer your specific questions to do with your build. So at the moment it will go live. It will go live at the end of this hour. So it will go live 7 p.m. here in Spain, in the UK 1 hour behind, and in the US it's 10 a.m. So in about 55 minutes we'll be going live with the sales. So if you're interested in picking it up, you'll get it then. And you asked about the book. The book will be included with the course, and with our other information products, you'll be able to get them with the course as well. The book at the moment, because we've done a new van, and with the new van we've put like a lot of extra systems in it, we're going to be currently right now I'm spending a lot of hours rewriting the ebook, and we'll be doing a lot of new schematics, new diagrams, which will be available on the course as well, which will just make it a lot easier to abide by the correct regulations, safety standards, and it'll make it much easier to do any system build that you want to do. So guys, if you have any other questions, just fire them in the chat, and I'll answer them. So otherwise, with the van we've built, we've got a few kind of interesting features which might be worth going through. Partly when I was designing this van, I wanted it to be a demo van, so it wasn't just about having like exactly what's perfect for me, but also trying to work out a system that kind of showed all the stuff, different water systems and things like that. So we've got couple quite cool features in the van, in the demo van. There's some pictures on the website and in community on YouTube, but we have a dual water system. So we have a water tank that feeds a hot water, like a water heater, and that goes to a shower. And we have another water tank which feeds a tap. But then that means like you can never like have too much of a shower and you run out of drinking water. But what you can do is you can open a valve and it will just pump your shower water, the extra water, into your drinking water, so you can only run out one way round, which I think is quite a nice system. James Cook asks, is the course a lot bigger than the videos you have on the ebook at the moment? Yeah, James. So the ebook at the moment has 25 short videos. This was like our experiment into this sort of tutorial combined with product. And it has these 25 videos are like quite short and like quite specific to the systems. In the course, we have 170 videos which really go into detail of every single step of doing a van. Like literally, you can follow those videos. And if you know nothing about anything about DIY, even if you don't know how to use a cordless drill or change the drill bit, we'll take you from there all the way through that process, and we'll end up with and you end up learning and seeing and doing, and end up with the result of being able to build a van. We were really attentive while we're making this course to focus on being able to do both like the theory, so you can understand the theory in like bite-sized videos which take you through that, maybe with some exercises where it pertains to the design or the specification of your project, and then takes you into the practice and just shows you how you do every single action in the van is documented in a way that we could never really publish it on YouTube, because we'd end up with like really massive videos or just too much detail for like the algorithm to like it. So it's a sort of thing, and also just from the perspective of like the amount of like time and energy it's taken to edit these videos. To give an idea, we normally produce like 100-ish videos a year on the YouTube channel, which is obviously quite a lot of work in terms of filming and editing and production and doing all the admin, like the thumbs and everything like that, and then promotion. And then following on from that, we have, so while we're doing that this year, we've been just working extremely hard to create this 170 videos. It's almost like 2 years work in 6 months. Couple more questions coming in. One from Abdul: does it cover doing your own gas system? Yeah, I mean, I always have to have a caveat for gas. You should always be like really careful with DIY gas installations, but it is absolutely possible to do it safely. You just have to understand the standards, test it thoroughly, and our course will take you through that. we have examples of non-compliant systems. So you're using rubber hose and how you can install such a system. And we also have compliant systems where we have underslung gas tanks, copper tubing, manifolds going to various appliances. And we also provide the information with the schematic to show you how you must install it to make it safe. But I would always at the end of your conversion recommend at least getting it checked by someone who knows what they're doing, ideally a gas engineer, who can make sure that's good. But in general, Abdul, yeah, we do cover the gas system. Catherine Carradine, will everything be metric or English measurements? So we have it dual system. Like in the UK and Europe, most people most of the time use metric system, and in the US, it's almost all Imperial. So every single time we say a measurement, we provide both. Now, sometimes in like some parts of pipe fitting or gas systems, you have BSP, which is Imperial basis, but that's how it's all defined anyway. So where it's defined in like pipe fitting things or like screws and gas, and it's all BSP, then we use BSP because that's what you'll be using to purchase it. But otherwise, any measurements are done in both metric and Imperial across the board throughout the entire course. So that means whatever your preference is, if you prefer inches or what gallons, or whether you prefer centimeters and millimeters, we've got you covered. So yeah, anyway, so if you guys have any more questions, just do fire them out. I just want to make sure that anyone who is thinking of buying the course at the moment, to buy now, use later, or just to get on with their project, I just want to make sure that, I don't know, we've covered any of the key questions you have, so that if you're making a decision now, then you're able to take advantage of the 25% discount. And what else can we talk about? Oh, fabulous. Thanks, Catherine. Where are you based, Catherine, out of interest? Because you say metric or English measurements. It's interesting to see. Because once I was manufacturing a product in America, and I phoned up, because I'm used to dealing in metric for engineering projects, and then I was phoning up suppliers. I'm like, do you have metric bolts? And this guy picked up the phone. He was like really angry. He was like, no, we only do American measurements here, and I put the phone down. It's like, wow. So it's very interesting, the metric and Imperial thing, and the history of it is kind of interesting. America almost changed to metric, but I think some like large industry which had all of their systems all using Imperial measurements lobbied against it, and then Europe and America split way on measurements. Yeah, so as I was kind of going through earlier, some of the features in the van. Another feature we've put in this van, which I've never installed in my personal van before, is an internal shower. Now, I quite like having a shower, an external shower, because I don't mind a little bit of cold. But a lot of people want to know how to install an internal shower and toilet. So therefore, in the new van, in the van we built for the demo van, we've installed an internal shower and toilet. Sorry, 1 second. So, but I mean, the only problem with internal shower and toilet is generally it takes like a huge space, like a big corner of the van. And that's obviously not ideal. So where we have like a big corner of a van taken out, what I wanted to do is try and find a way to not lose all of the shower space, but also have an internal shower. Now, there's a lot of people who make these like shower screen hookup things or pull around, but I personally, in vans, I don't really like systems which require like multiple steps. I don't like having a bed which you have to like pull something out, fold a mattress, put on the sheet, get the duvet out of a cupboard. I like to have like 1 or 2 action thing to make the thing happen, just because it's fast and it's less faff. So with the shower, what we've done, we have this like really big kitchen worktop, which is like this in profile, and then the side of it lifts up, and then that makes the shower in this side. So we end up with this huge kitchen, and then the kitchen cabinet lifts up, creates a wall, and then the toilet and the shower kind of is under that. And that's like a nice feature to be able to show people how to do. James Cook has another question. I've seen it has a community section to it. Will you be active yourself in this community? Yeah, I think largely myself and my team will be active in the community. I think one of the one of the real problems when you're doing a van yourself for the first time is you get worried about something, you think you messed something up, or you're just stuck. Like you just, how do I do this? And that like holds you up. It stops your day of work. It really bothers you. So what we want to do with the community is like create a space where you can go and ideally you take photos, you sort of document it so that people can actually like see your problem, and then whoever's in the community can compile in, and some people will be further on and will be able to help you, but also we'll be active and we'll try and soak up anything that doesn't get answered. So we'll come in and like correct things, or just say, okay, have you thought about this? Maybe, you know, maybe you've wired this in wrong. It looks like it's a little bit off, or something like that. We can give you a hand there. Catherine Carradines asks, is a toilet composting or regular? So the shower and the toilet, we use a regular toilet inside the cassette toilet inside the shower. I didn't want to install like a full, like for my own use, really, a toilet is primarily for emergencies. I'm always in the mountains and not usually having to use a toilet all the time. Composting toilets we will have some documentation on, but we haven't installed that in this course. We've focused more on a system which is super space efficient. Oh, hi, Oshig. That's a lot of emojis from you. Well, thank you. Mark McCone asks, do you discuss in the course the best type of van to buy, like the pros and cons between, example, Boxer versus Transit? That's a good question. I mean, I think I'll answer some of that question actually right now. But in the course, we do have a process for helping you buy a van. We also have included in the course a guide, which is like a van buying guide, which does go through the key types of van that you can buy, dependent on your area. So in the US, you have generally a different set of vans than you in Europe, but we cover them both, and we allow. And also inside that it has a guide which shows you like how to like look at a van or like examine a van, because it's like a really scary thing. If you've never bought a van before and you're not like a mechanic, you go to buy a van for the first time and like you're just like, well, you just drive it, feels all right, but maybe there's some like kind of underlying problem. So we basically created a checklist system so you can kind of go through a bunch of stuff, looking at the engine, testing the van, how to test the van, and that will give you an idea of whether the van's good or not. I mean, a lot of issues people have once they've converted their van, and you know, well, if you've converted a van, you put all the money into it all the time, and then you find you have major issues with the engine. And I know there's people this has happened to. If you can avoid that, that's amazing. The other part you asked between like pros and cons between the different vans, Peugeot Boxer, Citroen Relay, Transit. I like actually a lot of that we do have information on that, but just as a general note, a lot of that is comes down to like the price of them. Like a Transit compared with a Relay, it's quite a bit more expensive, and what you're paying for is generally like a better quality build. The new Transits now are boxier, which makes them a bit nicer to convert. Some of the older ones, the Mark IIs, they're like quite curved, and that just makes it like quite tall and narrow. That they're kind of a bit harder to convert because just got more shape. The wider vans like the Relays, they're nice because if you're smaller, if you're like sub 6 foot, you can sleep side to side, which is good. But you can really tell in the quality of the van when you start cutting holes in the roof and things. The metal on the Citroen Relay is a lot thinner than the Transits. So yeah, it just but you pay more for the Transits and the Sprinters. Nice. Does anyone have any more questions? Very, very happy to answer anything you have or any concerns. Like I think if you're considering buying the course, now I just want to warn you, the course isn't accessed now. We will go live with the course on the 1st of January. So it's like new year, new project. And then, people had a bit of breathing time over Christmas to get all that festive stuff out of the way. I know I'm going to need a break over Christmas because we've been working flat out for about 6 months. So we, and basically from the time you can access the course, that's when we'll start the 30-day money back guarantee. So if you're thinking of buying it and you buy it and then you get in on it on the January 1st, and over those week or so you realize it's not quite for you, then no questions asked, we'll basically send your money back, and you still obviously you have that access in that period, so you actually gain or you lose nothing in that process. It's the same pretty much way I see it with all the products we sell. So we've been selling Seedbook for years and always like no questions, 30-day money back guarantee, because at the end of the day, I don't want anyone who feels unhappy with the things that we provided them, and if they feel unhappy, then I don't want them to spend money on it. I think that's like just a completely reasonable way to think. So rest assured, we're not going to be difficult about it. And the same goes with the access. I had quite a few questions regarding the access, like the 3-year access. Some people were saying, well, if I bought this content, well, I want to be able to access it forever. Now, from like a business perspective, that's like gives me a few problems, because obviously to run the platform costs minimum a few $100s a month, the community X dollars a month, and so from an ongoing basis, we have to be able to. I can't promise people access forever to the course platform, because at some point we'll have to refilm it or like put it to bed, and we can't continuously pay that forever because we'll never be able to pay for our food. And then at the same time, we want to be able to like allow people to access the content for longer. So what we will do, and we don't exactly know like how the pricing is going to work out, but we will firstly, if you come to the end of your 3 years, we will allow you to download the videos. That means you have the content for personal use, if you want to refer to them in the future. Or if you want the videos, the platform, and the community access to be ongoing, we'll just work out basically what it costs to run a user on the platform. So that might be like $5 a month or something. And then we'll just basically have a very like low cost subscription, so you can continue to access it while you finish your project. I think that's probably the best way around it, because at the same time, we don't want to set up something, make promises that I can't like 100% guarantee will deliver. So I think we have to be like mindful of that, and that's why we have the access. And I think for most people when you do one van, some people do more, but like most people do one van, and 3 years is generally like ample time for them to complete the project. Now, if you were going to buy it now and then it takes a while to buy your van. Now, like the van I bought for the course, we bought a brand new van to do the demo, and it cost, and it took like 6 months to arrive, but it was then 6 weeks late. So we were like already in the UK, ready to do the build, like just literally ready. And then we just have nothing. It took 6 weeks, which is good because we spent loads of time filming theory, but it was bad. But so basically what I'm saying is like, we understand how like stuff gets delayed. So you might think I'm going to buy a van in January and I'm going to get on it. But then really like the van never arrives and it takes you 3 months longer. So if you want to start later, we're going to be pretty understanding about that, because that's just how it works. You can't force these things. Catherine asked another question. Which van do you use in the videos? So the van we've converted is a Citroen Relay, which is the same body, not the engine, but the same body as the Dodge ProMaster you get in the States. So it's basically, the reason I chose that van is because you can get that van all throughout Europe and all throughout America. And it's one of the better like value for money vans. Like Sprinters are extremely expensive. New Transits are very expensive, especially now. Everything's gone up by about 25%. So that's what we ran with, just for the kind of the value for money. And it's quite a nice van to convert. And also in Europe, it's also the same as like 2 or 3 other model vans. So it's a very, very common van. But the reality is, I think there's going to be there'll be some differences in like your structures, and like the undercarriage, but not many differences. like generally the chassis structure, the rib structures which like support the panels on the van, they're largely pretty similar. So anything we do with the Citroen Relay is directly translatable to a Transit. Probably a little bit easier on the Transit because they're just a little bit bulkier and beefier in how they do the structures. Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to continue it after 3 years. Like, I think if someone's paid up and they've done the whole process, and they want to continue have the access for longer, I think it's totally fair just to charge like the cost. And I don't think people will be like particularly fussy about that or find it too difficult. So yeah, we'll roll with that. But I'd imagine it will probably be like $5 to $8 a month, but until we've run the course for a while, and we understand like the number of users and we understand like the ongoing costs of everything, then we better work out, okay, what's the cost per user? But I think it would be pretty fair. And it's not the area we'd be looking to make money out of anyway. And I think then in that circumstance, if someone bought the course, they used it for a van and they just kept the subscription, or they came back later and then resubscribed with the low dollar value, I want to do another van, then they could just bolt on and purchase a new electrical consultation, and then they can sort of continue in that process and still maintain access to the community for actual purchase. In reality, like the way I'm seeing it is those problems from business perspective, they're sort of 3 years away, and same for users. And whatever we want to do, we want people to be happy, so we're just going to roll with that. Okay, Marsha Daruk, I can't. Maresha Daudikan. Sorry, I'm really bad at saying words. How do you get your wheelchair floor out of the minibus? How do you get a wheelchair floor out of a minibus crafter? Wow, that's a pretty good question. And honestly, I have no idea. I've never taken a wheelchair floor out, but I'm going to imagine they're going to have like, it's going to be bolted. I'm going to imagine it might have star bolts or something like that. So I guess really just have a look at where the attachment points are. I'm going to guess it's bolted all the way through, and you might need like an impact driver or wrench to be able to like undo the things. Typically when stuff's been like bolted in the floor, I assume it's because it's a secondhand van, it's been used for a while. Sometimes they're pretty tight. If you can't undo the bolt, what you can do is where you have your bolt head, spray it with WD-40, and then put your spanner on and just like tap it with a hammer. Not big hits, little taps, spray it with WD-40, little taps, and eventually that will come off, if that's giving you a problem. Otherwise, an impact driver might do the job, but you've got to be a bit careful. If they're not very thick bolts, you might snap them. Hey there, how much did Wash LP ask? Hey there, how much did the entire van build, including the van previewed in the course, cost? So the how much did the entire van build cost? So the van itself is a new van, Citroen Relay van, and that costs £27,000. This is like the depressing part of doing this demo van. Like the previous, I bought the same van 3 years ago, and it was like £19,500. So that's like 25,000 US. And now it's like 35,000 US. So it's like really, it's gone up with pandemic and all the supply chain issues. And then the fit out, I'm actually literally in the process of itemizing it. I'm thinking it's probably around like 5,000 or 6,000, like 8,000 US. And yeah, I think that the other problem at the moment as well is like wood prices went up. Like wood prices is like in the local shops where I was buying the wood. Ideally, I could have bought it in bulk, but I was cutting it fine on time. So the wood prices, and you buy quite a lot of wood to build a van, they're almost doubled right now. So hopefully those come down. Like they're just profiteering, like clearly profiteering. Like I don't know why COVID would have like stopped, like made wood more expensive, like 3 years later, you know. Anyway, so that's probably roughly the costs. But in terms of like the course isn't like entirely guided towards making exactly that van. The idea is it gives you all of the knowledge and the tools and the understanding to kind of adapt that design to fit whatever you want to build, whether that's like a weekend van which doesn't have half the systems because you don't need them, or you're building like a full off-grid like $10,000 electric system, all sing and dancing van. The idea is that with the course we will help you identify like what you actually need, because you can easily spend a lot of money doing a van conversion, but there's no point if you're only going to do like weekend trips or the odd summer vacation. You might as well try and figure out exactly like where the best place, like what the best complexity is for your needs, and build the van to fit that. And you can save like thousands and thousands of dollars. And then we'll take you through the process of translating that into specification, electrical specification that will fit your needs, and then go through the build, which you can kind of use the tutorials to take the bits that you need and that you want to do. Brian Gould says, do you ever include the concept of a mobile office van in your course or ebook? I'm planning on building a mobile office van with a bed and a kitchen, and will also include wheelchair accessibility. Brian, so, okay, there's a few things there. So really, the way the course runs, it's like to help you build kind of anything you want. Now, I have to be straightforward. In the course, we don't have wheelchair ramp or anything like that fitting, because I'm guessing it would probably cost quite a chunk to be able to just buy it to fit it and then not use it. But I'm guessing if you buy the van, probably the companies who sell you the wheelchair fitting things will probably fit it for you, and then you build the van around that. And in terms of mobile office, bed, kitchen, so essentially, like mobile office, the main thing about mobile office, I would say, is like power requirements. You just want to get, because if you're using it for work, which I imagine you are, if you're using it as a mobile office, you're like digital nomad or something, or traveling and working, then you just really want to have a reliable power system. If you've got like a bad power system, then you're going to be like left high and dry. You're not going to be able to like do the work if you've got no power. So one of the main things we would look at there is like, well, you go through the normal course process, you look at the how you build furniture, all this stuff. That's as read. That will be very similar. It's just your design will be different, your structures will be different, but the process will be the same. And then we'll take you through into the electrical system, and then we'll work out what your requirements are, and we'll try and help you like develop the system which is perfect for you, and will meet your needs. I've got a group for the accessibility. Okay, cool. That makes sense. I mean, I think there's got to be a lot of information about adding wheelchair things, but I have to be completely honest. I don't know a lot about fitting those sort of ancillary mechanisms to a van. But I would imagine if wherever it's in the back door or the side door, wherever you can get in, and then I guess like for wheelchair accessibility, you're going to probably know a lot better than me how you'd want that layout to be, to make it fit so you can use the office, you can access every part of the van. But it just sounds like a really interesting project, actually, to be able to have bed, kitchen, wheelchair access, and also like be able to use it. I think that would be a very interesting project, and like how do you make maneuvering yourself around the van like as easy as possible. That's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, so guys, if you, again, like, I'm loving the questions. It's really, really cool to see them. And again, as I'm here, I'm my first live session. I hope it's not coming off too weird, not too many pauses. Yeah, so I don't know what else we can talk about. We've gone through the course guarantees. We've gone through the content. Maybe we can talk a bit about like the format of the course and the course content and the videos. So generally, as you go through the course, and it starts with introduction, takes you through tools, what tools you use, how tools work, what you need, what you don't need, hand tools. Then it will take you through like into the like design and layout phase. And what the way we're structuring it and trying to kind of connect it into the community is we'll sort of try and like curate exercises. So we'll kind of go through how you can do a layout, work out your specifications, and we'll try and encourage people to share those specifications or their designs or their inspiration or their ideas into the community. So we end up with this like self-reinforcement, self-learning group of people where people are putting ideas, people are critiquing those ideas, helping them get better ideas, and then you end up with this kind of like nice learning cycle where everyone's kind of learning together, but sharing, critiquing, getting better ideas. Because if you never lived in a van or never built a van before, then it's kind of a little bit hard to exactly understand how you want to use it, or like the things you might forget, because it's easy to kind of forget, like, I don't know, like where you put your rubbish or something, or dirty laundry or things like that. It's very easy to kind of like miss those. Like personally, I always kind of forget the dirty laundry thing. Like there's always a way around it. In my the demo van, there's this good place under a seat we can put it, but it's very easy to forget these things. Whereas if you've got like a hive mind, you know, you've got like a lot of people looking at the things you do, then you can always just like let those things pile in. You can put your stuff out there. People will give you ideas, and it genuinely will help you improve what you do. I have a friend who's doing a van, and like he sent me the designs over, and it was really interesting because obviously I have quite a bit of experience of doing vans. I also have a background in industrial design, so I know a lot of like I'm quite good at thinking through like planning process, and then I could just come up with a bunch of ideas for him. And then he kind of came back later, and his van really changed. And it's taken the ideas that I gave him, but it radically changed like the way he was looking at the project. And then the end result is from his like first hit, his first ideas that he had, he kind of like really shifted on, because I think sometimes our first thoughts, our first ideas are like a little bit basic. It's the same when I was like designing my house or anything else. Often the first ideas that we have are a little bit like they're our first ideas, and they seem brilliant because they're our first ideas, right? That, wow, this is great. But then when you have feedback and other ideas, or those ideas like are tested, then it can kind of like really accelerate you to the place where you're like, actually, now this is the way I want to do it. Even with the design of the van we did for the course, the demo van, I had like my rough ideas, but then when I took my ideas, meet the reality of the van and the like, you know, all the funny shapes and things, then I like really switched a few things up. The overall theme stayed the same, but exactly how it's implemented, again, that changed a lot. So it'd be quite good if people were able to share their first designs and then get feedback, and they're able to progress to a point where they end up with a bit more sophisticated design, which they're kind of quite confident with. And in the end of the day, then they're not living in a van going, oh man, I really want to make some changes, or I want to do a new van because I did so many things which weren't quite optimal. Peter at Here's the Thing asked, do you touch on modems, routers, antennae, etc.? So modems, so if you're talking about for like remote work, modems and routers, like, and mobile things, you can easily install those. You can just buy them like mobile routers, which usually have like a 3D SIM card. And the main thing you have to consider is how that interacts with your power system, because they're running 24/7 generally. So therefore, you need to make sure that you have enough power, like, you know, solar or whatever, to run them. The other thing which I think is becoming more popular, and you are currently experiencing right now, is the use of Starlink. So where I am in Spain, I renovate this house here, and with my neighbors, we have got Elon Musk's Starlink. So it's basically satellite internet, and it's pretty good. It's pretty fast. So we've been running that now for a year, maybe a bit less than a year. But a lot of people who are using it for using van life for like digital nomading or working full time, then they're using these Starlinks. And again, they have like a certain amount of power requirements. You need to make sure that if you're running them, and typically with Starlink, you're putting it out to run it. You're not running it all the time like a modem, like a house modem. But yeah, they're very good, and it's about 75 dollars a month, something like that, and it's pretty impressive. I think if nowadays, one of the big concerns when you're like traveling full time, or like you're working as you travel, especially if you have clients or you have a job, it's like guaranteeing that you have reliable internet. That's always been like a problem historically, because you want to just like you want to go to the mountains, but you get up there, there's no 4G, no 5G, and you're like, well, like, what am I going to do here? You've got to like go somewhere else. You've got to find Wi-Fi somewhere. But with a Starlink, it's pretty much everywhere. You can just put your Starlink out, and you have like really fast internet. So I think that product for like full-time proper digital nomads who are like working, properly, especially online work, coding, that sort of thing, then it's a bit of a game changer, because for $75 dollars or euros a month or whatever it is, plus the unit, you're able to work anywhere and like really be comfortable with it. Catherine says, so exciting that I found you at this time, going full-time next year. Hey, that's cool. Yeah, amazing. I genuinely love van life. Obviously, right now I'm in a house, so it doesn't look like it, but I've been working so hard, it doesn't make sense to be traveling. And with the new van, I'm really excited for next year. I'm really excited to spend a lot of time doing trips, going climbing, seeing beautiful places. The new van, because all I've done now in the last 6 months since we finished the van is just work to build the course. So it's been a little bit static and tiring and depressing. But I do really enjoyed the 4 years I was full-time living in a van. It was so great. And I was working, I was traveling, I was doing my thing. Not working all the time for the first years. I was mostly focused on climbing, but like that shifted over time into kind of working projects, running YouTube, doing other businesses. P-Mouse, hi Nate, hope all is well. Just popped by to say hi. Also today. Oh look, Day is also watching. Hi P-Mouse. It's been a while since I've seen you on the channel. You maybe have commented and I missed it. But again, I think most of you are commenting on the content we produced, and obviously in the last year, I haven't put a lot of vlogs out. Just because, well, I haven't really been doing anything vloggable. And I mean, I've bolted some, I developed some climbing areas here, but I haven't really been like van lifing, or I've just been like working on my projects. It's been really not very YouTubeable watching someone like work on a computer like 15 hours a day. But hopefully next year, if the motivation comes, then I will do some vlogging as we travel, which will be very nice. Ariane Solis, security is my concern. What do you recommend? I got your book and it's been very helpful. Great, Ariane. We actually, firstly on the book, there's going to be a new update, huge update. It's going to be like really big changes to the book, partly because we've got lots of documentation, much better photos from the van conversion we've just done, and that will go out to you. We'll send that out to you probably in the new year. When I finish working on it, and it's gonna be a lot better. What we're planning to do actually with the ebook is to make like a mini course, which have like a taster of the main course, but it will basically be like the video guides, but it will be in the course platform, and it also mean we can share like some of the schematic resources that come with the ebook in like a better format. In terms of security as you're concerned, what do I recommend? So security is definitely an issue, and we do go through the options on the course. What I generally recommend is like, just partly it depends on like where you travel, what you're doing. If you're spending a lot of time in the city, then you do want like deadbolts on the main doors to stop people just breaking in, and probably something to stop people stealing the van itself, maybe GPS, and maybe you could even put in cut off switch. But like like with security, like from my personal perspective, is like I kind of like feel that I prefer to go a little light on like physical security for the van, because most of the time I travel in the mountains, and I'm not somewhere where people are likely to steal the van. In terms of like personal security, where I personally think this is like the more important area, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're traveling by yourself. I think there's two things which are like really useful, more useful than anything else. One is the ability to have like electronic key fob, which you can lock the van when you go inside. So you go in the van, you lock the van. Now the van's locked. If you have like a much older vehicle and you've got to lock the van from the outside, it's a lot trickier. So if you can lock the van from the inside, that's a good start. The other thing, especially if you're solo female van lifing, is that you can access the cab without going outside the vehicle and going around. Quite a few female van lifers I know have sadly experienced like creepy men like knocking on the window, like, oh, can I come in? And it's just like, no. And if you in that situation, you don't want to stay there. You want to just get in the front and leave. So if you can lock the doors and you just climb in the front and leave, that's much better than having to either just sit in the van waiting for them to go, hoping that they go. It's all dark outside, or leave in the van, which obviously puts you at more risk to get to the driver's seat. So they're the two things I would most recommend. Other than that, in the course we've documented put in an internal safe. So it's basically a safe that you can access and put your valuables in. So if someone did break in your van, that they don't get your passport, your laptop or camera, anything of particular value. There are lots of other systems you can use to make your van secure, including glass protection, which when they smash the glass, it just stays as one big plastic sheet with broken glass on it. It's very hard to get through. Ancillary locks, things like that. Brian Gould says, are you familiar with the deadbolt locks that can be connected to the power locks? Oh, that's quite interesting. I'm not actually familiar with those, to be honest. I think there's just so many there are so many security products out there. Especially, I mean, the main market is for sort of builder vans, and they get broken into so often. It's one of the main problems of parking a van in by cities is people think there's tools inside them, they break in, but then when they've already broken in to see that there's nothing they really want to steal half the time, they break in and then they've already done the damage. You've got to get all that stuff repaired, and that's that's probably some of the most frustrating part is repairing the van once someone's broken in to find that they didn't really want to steal anything. So those deterrent things I think are really valuable. I mean, even if you just stuck a pretend giant lock on every door, it'd probably be as effective as a normal lock because they'll just rob the next van instead. SS asks, does the course have information on how to properly insulate an existing window to put a wall? Okay, so I assume what you mean is let's say you had a minibus and then you have windows all the way around and you don't really want windows all the way around. And in largely SS, I would say that in that circumstance, you're just treating it like another piece of wall, right? So like any panel, say if in my van I have a panel and it happens to be a panel and it's not a window, then I'm insulating that panel. And then after I insulate it, then I have a vapor barrier. The vapor barrier is good. And the vapor barrier's job is to stop any humidity in the air from touching or being able to flow past that panel and condensate. And it'll be exactly the same if you're covering a window, that you just want to tape it all around, make sure that it's safe. But I think stuff like this with the course, there's always going to be a lot of different variants. A lot of people have different problems, different vans and different issues. And a lot of building something DIY, especially in a new conversion or something like that, a lot of that process really is problem solving. So it's looking at the issue, and then if you can't figure it out or you're not sure, then you just jump on the community and you just ask people. And if people don't answer before I've seen it, we'll answer too, and we'll just kind of try and fill in what we think is the best way to approach your problem, or the thing that you have. Nature Day, my partner, she asks, will the course be labeled as environment and animals friendly? Well, animals friendly. There's not really any animals involved in van life, so I think in converting a van, I think it's fine. And in terms of environmental issues, well, I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest. It's an online course, and if people want to convert environmentally friendly vans, that's great. P Mouse, I can't believe you guys have almost 400k subs. Followed you when you were barely 10k. Wow, man, that's quite a long time you've been following our channel. That's several years, maybe it's 6 years. Thanks. Yeah, YouTube had this thing. I think they did a correction. They removed loads of dead accounts, so we looked like we were gonna hit 400,000, which for me in my mind is weirdly a milestone. It seems quite a lot, more than 300. It is more than 300, but you know what I mean. It's feels like a big number, and then they corrected it. so it's been very slow to actually pass that one. So it'd be nice when we've passed that milestone, because for me it's a real milestone. Hip hop nomad van life. Come on, England. Okay, yeah, someone's watching the football. Thanks, PMAS. That's very kind. Can-do and positive mentality vibe. Yeah, I call it naive optimism. It means you're optimistic generally, and then you go into things, and then when you're in them, too late. So you have to fight your way out. But that does give you a lot of experience and growth in that mindset. So I don't know entirely if it's good. I fail a lot of things, but then at least you have the experience, and failure is only learning. And actually, in terms of van conversion, that's like relevant for a lot of people. Building a van or building a DIY project for the very first time is like really quite intimidating, and people are always like often very afraid like to do something wrong. And like my thing here is like, for a lot of it, there's very few parts of van conversion that you can like completely like mess up, and it's hard to correct it. And that's largely just cutting giant holes in your van. You do that right, you're probably going to be okay. But otherwise, like, education is ready free. You're learning, you're DIYing, and if you're screwing stuff together, you can unscrew it, correct it. You can usually there's a lot of leeway. You can manage it, and then by doing, you're learning, and like you have that experience, and that builds that confidence. Peter asks, do I enter the discussion debate about vapor barrier? Oh, there's vapor barrier insulation. Oh, it's a minefield. It's a minefield. Do I enter it? Well, I have like views, and my general view over all of it is there's not like exactly right answer. Like most systems which have decent vapor barrier, good insulation, most of them work perfectly fine. And in my mind, like if you're doing like one or three systems, you're probably good. People get really into it. I think it's just create an argument out of nothing. It's just like there's a few ways which work really well. Do one of them, do it well, do a good job, and you'll be fine. Hitpod Nomad Light. Sorry, I went off topic. Are you firmly with Renology's new products? The Rego line course. That's what I purchased. I haven't seen anyone else use them, so I was curious. Renology generally make great products, and so do Victron and a bunch of other ones. The systems that we've installed in the van is primarily Victron, not entirely, but primarily Victron. But if you're looking at like solar charge controllers, or if you're looking at inverters, or if you're looking at battery-to-battery chargers, largely they're the same. The main thing you want to know is like you're using the right one for your system that you've designed, and you want to be using the right wires and the right fuses and the right lugs in the right places. So it doesn't really matter the system that you choose. In the course, we go through the main options. We provide schematics for the main options, but largely, whatever systems you choose, then you can just adapt it to fit, and it's not wildly different. Like, they're only gonna have so many connections into it and out of it, and as long as we have the main systems covered, you're good. P Mouse says he agrees. He really shares the idea of starting and learning. I think that's the best way. You can have knowledge. Knowledge helps you to start the practice, and then but it's practice builds experience, and experience and like that confidence that comes with it is you can only get that by doing and like learning how wood works and how screws are, and like feeling that out. And I think one of the really nice things about doing a van conversion, or doing like a DIY project, like your first DIY project, or maybe this is like a level up from what you've done before, is that once it's a long process, you learn so much stuff, but at the end of it, you have this like really amazing thing, and you made it. And I think it's really empowering, because the great thing about a van conversion is it includes so many like different systems. You have water, like basic water plumbing, you have electrics, you have insulation, you have woodwork, you have installer windows, you have like fans, you have like all of these things to think about, insulation, and like maybe fabrics. So it covers like such a broad array of like skills and knowledge and abilities. So once you go through it, I think it sets you up to realize that you can do a lot of stuff. I mean, I've done a few van conversions, and I didn't really think twice about deciding to build a house. It's like, oh, it'll be fine. It's just the same, just like different. And it's just the same processes to learn and figure out. It's just I don't know. I worked out that building a house was about 16 times more work than doing a van. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about doing a project like that, which kind of takes you through and sort of transforms the way you think about some things, and realize that you can just work it all out. Okay, guys. Well, I just want to say thanks a lot for coming on. Thanks, P-Mouse, Peter. What the size of electric water heater does. Oh, okay. I'll ask you one question. Well, it depends on the water heater. If it's tanked, then like some electric water, some heaters have like tanks inside them, so the electric will be continuously heating your water heater, heating your water, so you'll have it on tap. Some electric water heaters are in line, generally very high power, and you want a beefy inverter. So yeah, it just depends on what you've put in and what you're installing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to have to wrap up there because I need to go over to the website and I need to make the changes so that it's live and people can check out. And that will go live in 5 minutes. So if you're thinking of buying, head over there now. I will add the link into the chat just so you have it. And if you do happen to purchase, I will see you soon. I'll see you on the course. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everyone who's come on the stream, my very first YouTube stream. Maybe I'll do it again. It wasn't so bad. It's only a few points where I was a bit like, oh man, what do I say now? But yeah, it'd be great to see you on the course if you do happen to sign up. If not, we'll see you on YouTube. And thanks so much for turning up and joining this live stream. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Safe travels, great adventures, and I'll speak to you all soon.